Rosado, evangelist with Today in Bible Prophecy Ministries. And we want to thank you so much for tuning in on this Wednesday afternoon. We are back home live from our main headquarters here in Lincoln, Rhode Island. Now, for the last 10 days, we were in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, where I preached 2 Sundays and a midweek Wednesday service at Faith Baptist Church. Now, I covered for Pastor Andrew Taylor. Him and his wife are in Greece right now. They were in Rome, now they're in Greece. And he asked if I would cover for him. And I got to say, we had a wonderful time out there in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. So I preached October 3rd, 6th, and the 10th for the people at Faith Baptist Church. Now, it's been at least 6 years since I have been at this church. And the last time that we were with them was, I believe, 2015, when we took a tour with them. They asked me if I would lead their tour, and I said, yes, absolutely. So just had a wonderful time. That was the last time that I saw them. So it was a great reunion, got to see old friends, and we just had a wonderful time. We just got back a couple of days ago. And so this Sunday, I'm going to be preaching at my home church, but we'll get to that in just a few moments. Now, when you have a chance, I want you to go to my website, todayinbibleprophecy.org. Go to my contact form. Subscribe to our free newsletters. They go out every week. We're a little bit due on this one, though, but they go out every week. And so I want you to get our newsletters, keep abreast as to what is going on in the world today, what's going on here in the ministry. Not only that, but you can also watch our live streams on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can actually watch this live stream on all 3 social platforms. If you have a Facebook account, send me a request, friend request. If you have a YouTube account, subscribe to my YouTube channels. So we have over 600 videos or so on YouTube. So just go to my YouTube channel, August Rosado, Rosado. And whenever we upload a new video, you'll be notified. And follow me on Twitter. My handle is at Bible_prophecy. That's my handle, at Bible_prophecy. Not the word AT, but the at symbol there, okay? At Bible_prophecy. And I list all the leading news articles right there on my Twitter page. So subscribe to my, actually follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and send me a Facebook friend request. Now, this Sunday, I'm going to be preaching at my home church, East Bay Baptist Church in East Providence, Rhode Island. This Sunday, October 17th. Hard to believe we're blowing through October already. I'm going to be preaching for their missions conference. And I'm going to be preaching on the theme of missions and prophecy. Why prophecy should motivate us to missions, should motivate us to soul winning, should motivate us to evangelism. I'm sorry, but the church has dropped the ball on this royally today. All Christians are concerned with today is doctrinal wars, doctrinal fighting, doctrinal arguments, while souls slip into a Christless eternity. Actually, we should all be ashamed of ourselves. All of us. Missions and prophecy, they go hand in hand. So I'll be preaching this Sunday, October 17th, at my home church, East Bay Baptist Church. Also, we have our Bible prophecy tour to Israel scheduled for April 23rd, 2022. We want you to come with us. It's going to be 11 days with 2 nights in Israel and, in Jordan. 11 days. 11 days. Man, you see how my voice is messing up today? 11 days, but 2 nights in Jordan. So if you want to come with us, you need to get a hold of me as soon as possible. We're about 7 months out. So come with us to Israel. Let me teach you Bible prophecy on location. Get a swig of this here. I want to teach you Bible prophecy on location. So I hope that you take advantage of that. Now, I want to get into our study lesson for today. So before I do that, I believe we got Artemio Cruz, dear friend of this ministry. And he is there right now watching. And I want to make sure that we are also live streaming on, and there it is. Yep. The Facebook social platform there. Let me see who might be watching here. We got Amanda Tatro. And, we weren't on last week because we were so busy in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And so, but we're here today, but I will not be on tomorrow. There will be no Thursday broadcast because of doctor's appointments for my wife. So that has to come first. So there will be no live stream Thursday afternoon. But Lord willing, we will be back on Friday. Now, I don't know why this isn't on there, but tonight, 8:15 p.m., I'll be broadcasting for 15 minutes on WOPW 93.3 FM out of Central Kentucky. You said, well, August, how can I listen? Go to their website, WOPW.org. 8:15 tonight, Eastern Standard Time. And just click on Listen Live. You can check out our broadcast tonight. Let me just say, and by the way, I want to thank all of you for your birthday wishes yesterday. I think we had about maybe 187, 188 people post on my timeline. Now, this is the only time I open my Facebook timeline for people to post on my timeline, just on my birthday. That's it. after midnight, I shut the timeline down. Because if I don't, well, sometimes people put nutty things on your profile. So that's why I do that. But I only open it up once a year for people's birthday wishes. So I want to thank all of you for your birthday wishes. I really appreciate it. So let me say hello, shalom, to Amanda, Jessica Marie, shalom to you. And again, thank you so much for all of you tuning in today. So we're going to get into it right now. Aliya in prophecy. What does Aliya mean? That's a Hebrew word that means to ascend, to go up. And that's what Jews did for 3,500 years. Even in the first century AD, 2,000 years ago, Jews would make Aliyah for the three main Jewish pilgrim feasts: Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles. That's based on Deuteronomy 16, verse number 16. And Aliyah is applied today to refer to Jewish immigration back to the land of Israel. So let's read out of Isaiah chapter 11, 10 through 12, where it says this: "And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign or banner of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, and from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, and from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth." So God promised that he would regather the Jewish people from the four corners of the earth, from the nations of the world where they have been scattered. God said, I'm going to bring them back into the land of Israel. That's exactly what he did. The Old Testament Jewish prophets repeated continuously that God would gather his people from the nations and bring them back after 2,000 years of worldwide dispersion, wandering from nation to nation, being persecuted and killed along the way simply because they're Jews. They would be regathered back to the land, but the problem is they're regathered back in unbelief, in preparation for the final 70th week of Daniel's prophecy. And the purpose of the final 70th week of Daniel's prophecy is to turn that unbelief to belief. That is the purpose for the 7-year period of tribulation. God would keep his promises to the Jewish people. And that's exactly what he did. Because we read in Ezekiel chapter 34 where God says 18 times, I will, I will, I will, I will. In keeping his promises, in bringing the Jews back to the land. Then in Ezekiel chapter number 36, God speaks to the land 35 times, not the people, not the individuals, to the land. And God said, the indigenous people are coming back to the land. So in Ezekiel 34, 18 times, God says, I will, I will, I will, I will. In Ezekiel 36, he speaks to the land 35 times. He said 35 times to the land that the indigenous people will return. And when that happens, the land would respond and blossom like the rose. And that's exactly what happened. The land responded and the land blossomed like a rose. Prior to the Jews coming back to the land, for 400 years, it was dry, barren, desolate, no rainfall. Can you imagine that? For nearly 400 years, no rainfall, until the Jewish people started coming back to the land. And when that happened, the land responded. Rainfall fell by over 450%. The land begins to blossom like the rose, according to Isaiah chapter 35 and verse number 1. Then we see in Ezekiel chapter number 37, the dry bones, the Jewish people coming back to the land from the four corners of the earth. And that's exactly what happened. God said to these bones are the whole house of Israel. The graves are the nations the Jews have been scattered to. The bones are the Jews themselves. And in Ezekiel 37:11, God said, these bones are the whole house of Israel. So the Bible interprets the Bible. Today we got cults and even some in the church today that try to take this prophecy and apply it to the church. I'm sorry, but it's ignorance. And then in Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 12, God said, O bones, I will cause you to come up out of your graves and will bring you back into the land of Israel. Remember, World War I prepared the land for the Jews as the Holy Land was transferred from the Ottoman Turks, who hated the Jewish people, to the Brits, who were sympathetic to the Jewish people. So World War I prepared the land for the people. And also the Holocaust of World War II prepared the Jewish people for the land by motivating the Jewish people to leave Europe as Hitler and the murderous Nazi regime came to power. And so World War I prepared the land for the people, and World War II prepared the people for the land. Now, the Jerusalem Post came out with a story because today is October 13th, so it's Aliya Day, in which they commemorate the Jewish people since 1897 coming back to the land. And they still continue to come back even after May 14th, 1948. Jews continue to make Aliyah back to the land of Israel. So the Jerusalem Post reported Aliyah is up 31% over 2020 numbers so far. And folks, again, Jewish people, there it is right there. There's a Jerusalem Post article. The Jewish people continue to come to the land. So numbers are up by 33%. Aliyah to Israel has bounced back strongly in 2021 so far, with some 20,360 Jews arriving in Israel today. The figures come ahead of the national holiday, Aliyah Day, which is today, October 13th, which celebrates immigrants to Israel from around the world, a 33% increase. According to the data, the largest source of Aliyah this year has been Russia, north of Israel. And there have been 1,589 Jews that have come from Ethiopia, south of Israel. And yet, Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse number 10 says the Jews will come from Ethiopia. And also, we see in Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse number 15, the Jews will also come from the north, Russia, and back to the land of Israel. Aliyah is one of the four major trends in Bible prophecy that is happening right now. And we've talked about these four major trends in Bible prophecy. Now, what are these four major trends in Bible prophecy? Well, the four major trends are Aliyah, anticipation, alignment, and arrangements. So we need to keep that in mind right now. Okay, using the alliteration of A's. Aliyah, anticipation, alignment, arrangement. Aliyah of the Jewish people. Since 1897, Jews continue to make Aliyah. And according to that Jerusalem Post report I just showed you, Aliyah is up 33%. Jews continue to make Aliyah to the land of Israel. A last days indicator that the rapture must be so very close. Then number two, anticipation of peace. That's out of Daniel 9:27. When sometime after the rapture, the Antichrist, the ruler of the revived Roman Empire, comes on the scene and confirms, not signed, confirms, Getabar is the Hebrew, confirms the covenant with many for 1 week. That's that final 70th week. The 7-year period of tribulation. And right now, everybody's talking about Israel. It's peace, 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 peace. The European Union which we believe is the embryo, the infrastructure for the revived Roman Empire, all they talk about is getting involved in Middle East peace. So again, anticipation of peace is out of Daniel 9:27. Then we have the alignment of nations. Well, that's Psalm 83. That's Ezekiel 38:39. That's Daniel 11:40 through 45, when Russia leads an Arab coalition of nations. In Ezekiel 38:39, Russia leads Turkey, Iran, Ethiopia, Sudan, Somalia, and Libya against Israel. Those are countries that don't share a common border with Israel. But in Psalm 83, with that Arab attack, those Arab nations share a common border with Israel. And Daniel 11:40 through 45 parallel with Ezekiel 38:39. The alignment of the nations. Russia is the sugar daddy of the Arab Middle East, in cahoots with Iran, as well as with Turkey. So we see the formation of the alignment of the nations. Then, the fourth trend, arrangements for the rebuilding of the third Jewish temple. A third temple will occupy the most sacred piece of real estate on earth today, Har Harbayit, the Temple Mount, in which the Arabs call it in Arabic Haram al-Sharif, the noble sanctuary. That temple will occupy the Temple Mount during the final week, the 70th week of Daniel's prophecy, aka the 7-year period of tribulation. There are 4 texts for this temple, this third temple. Daniel 9:27, Matthew 24:15, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, 3, and 4, Revelation 11, 1 and 2. 4 proof texts that there will be a third temple, which is why the Temple Institute in the old city of Jerusalem today is making all the preparations for that third temple. Recently, the Israeli Supreme Court said it's legal for Jews to go up on the Temple Mount and pray, howbeit silently. But I think the Supreme Court may have rescinded that because of the Arab fury, especially from Jordan, because they're the caretakers of the Temple Mount under their auspices of the Waqf. So there will be a third temple. Arrangements are underway for the preparations for that third temple. Aliyah, anticipation, alignment, and arrangements. All these things are convergent as we speak. We also see in Isaiah chapter 66, verses 7 and 8, shall a nation be born in one day? Shall a nation be born in one day? Shall a nation be born at once? That day, ladies and gentlemen, was fulfilled. Well, you say August, when was it fulfilled? Well, it was fulfilled on May the 14th of 1948. State of Israel is reborn. The rebirth of the state of Israel. That has never happened to a nation in history. Israel, reborn May 14th, 1948. And that's exactly what the Jewish prophet Isaiah prophesied around 701 BC, some 700 years before the birth of Jesus the Messiah. Shall a nation be born at once? Well, there it is. State of Israel is reborn. Folks, that is Bible prophecy right there, right before your very eyes. Shall a nation be born at once? Bible prophecy scholars like C.I. Scofield, whether you agree with him or not, is not the point here. Okay? But C.I. Scofield, back in 1901, he preached that one day the state of Israel would be reborn. And you know something? They said that C.I. Scofield was a heretic. They called the man a heretic because in his footnotes, he said one day Israel will be reborn as a nation. And they said, you're a heretic. Not only that, but in his 1901 footnotes, he said that one day Russia would invade Israel. And they hated him even more. Because back then, well, Russia was a quote, unquote, Christian Orthodox nation back in the day, in the 1900s. That's not the case today. And I use that Orthodox Christian very loosely. Today, Russia is in cahoots with extremely dangerous, radical sponsors of state terrorism and the sugar daddy of the Arab Middle East today. Again, C.I. Scofield was called a false teacher because listen, that's what he said. Israel will be reborn and Russia will one day lead an Arab coalition to attack Israel. I wonder what those, if they were here today, I wonder what those gainsayers would say about C.I. Scofield today. Not only that, folks, but now that Israel's back in the land, you know that even prior to May 14th, 1948, Hebrew has been revived from a dead biblical language to the official language of the state of Israel. And it was revived single-handedly by one man, Eliezer ben Yehuda. Single-handedly revived the Hebrew language despite the friction, despite the opposition. Despite the opposition even from the rabbis. Hebrew, Ivrit, has been revived. That fulfilled Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse number 9, where God said, one day I will restore a pure language. Ivrit, the language of Israel. God kept his promises. God kept his word. Hebrew has been revived. Israel is back in the land. How be it in unbelief? 1897, with the first Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland, under the father of modern-day Zionism, Theodor Herzl, in which he envisioned a homeland for the Jewish people. Not in Ethiopia or in some other country that the other nations wanted the Jews to have. They said, no, we need to go back to our biblical, ancestral homeland, the home of the Jewish prophets, Israel. And Theodor Herzl was not alive when that became a reality. Israel's first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, stood at Independence Hall in Tel Aviv, Israel, with 400 reporters in attendance, and he only spoke 997 words in only 17 minutes, declaring the establishment, the rebirth of the state of Israel. And a few years back, Dr. Todd Baker and I were at Independence Hall in Tel Aviv, where we did a Bible prophecy program right there at that same Independence Hall. Same seats, same microphone that you just saw. Everything is still original. The flags, the picture of Theodore Herzl up there, everything is still there. Listen, folks, Israel is back. They're back in the land, but they're back in unbelief, according to Romans 11:25. And yet Paul said, don't be ignorant concerning Israel's unbelief. Unfortunately, today, there is so much ignorance in the church concerning Israel's temporary status as being blind in unbelief. Paul said in Romans 11:25, don't be ignorant concerning their unbelief, because it's only temporary. He even applies that word ignorance in reference to the rapture. 1 Thessalonians 4:13, I would not have to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep. Again, unfortunately, oh my, so much ignorance in the church today concerning Israel's current status of unbelief and the next main event, the rapture of the church. They're back in the land in order for the 70th week of Daniel's prophecy to commence. And that happens sometime after the rapture. That 70th week is the 7-year period of tribulation. This period is intended for unbelieving Israel. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 7 is the time of Jacob's trouble. And Daniel 9:24, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people, the Jews, thy holy city, Jerusalem. It's self-explanatory, folks. I don't understand what the problem is. It is not intended for the church. Again, this period is for unbelieving Israel. Romans 11:25, Jeremiah 30, verse 7, Daniel 9:24. Okay? It is not, and I repeat, it is not intended for the church. Why? Ephesians 5:25. Christ loves his church and gave himself for it. Why wouldn't he? He is the groom of the bride. Revelation 3:10. Jesus said to the church of Philadelphia, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. That's a 7-year period of tribulation to come upon all the world to try. He doesn't even include us in this term. He says to try them, not us, not you, them who dwell on the earth. And again, ignorance is bliss when it comes to this in the church. To try them, unbelievers, Israel, the nations of the world, to try them who dwell on the earth. It is not intended for the church at all. The purpose of the tribulation period is to bring Israel to the end of themselves and acknowledge Yeshua, Jesus, as their long-awaited prophesied Messiah, and to receive him as Savior. When that happens, that will fulfill the messianic prophecy of Psalm 118, verse 26, quoted by Jesus in Matthew 23:39. The Jews will look up and say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Blessed is he who cometh in the name of the Lord. Zechariah 12:10 says, they'll look upon him whom they have pierced. Romans 11:26 says, all Israel shall be saved. Revelation 1:7 says, they shall look upon me whom they have pierced. The Bible is so self-explanatory. It's Christians today who make prophecy complicated with suppositions, wild speculations, prophecy conspiracies. We don't need that. Now the Jews are back in the land. The prophetic time clock stopped ticking at the 69th week. With the death of the Messiah, the time clock stopped at 69 weeks. Sometime after the rapture, when the church is taken out of here, when the Antichrist confirms the covenant with many for 1 week, Daniel 9:27, then the time clock will stop ticking again, leading up to the second coming of the Lord Jesus. Remember, the church was not in the 69th week. Between Nehemiah to the Messiah, the death of the Messiah. I preached that message from Nehemiah to the Messiah. From 445 BC, Nehemiah chapter 2, to the death of the Messiah around 31-32 AD. His death concluded the 69 weeks, 483 prophetical years on the Jewish lunar calendar of a 360-day year. From Nehemiah to the Messiah, 173,880 days. That's precise. That's the timeline, not only for the coming of the Messiah, but also for the death of the Messiah. Because after the 69 weeks, the Messiah is cut off. He's put to death. So 1 week remains unfulfilled. The 70th week, the 7-year period of tribulation. So after the rapture, down the road, the 7-year confirmation peace treaty in Daniel 9:27 will take place. And then the time clock will begin ticking. It stopped now with the death of the Messiah to end the 69 weeks. But that time clock will continue ticking the moment the ruler of the revived Roman Empire confirms the covenant with many for 1 week. The time clock will begin ticking. Listen, folks, Jesus is coming sooner than we think. The rapture of the church must be so close at hand. We must keep looking up because our redemption draweth nigh. The rapture of the church sooner than we think. Question is, are you ready for the coming of the Lord? If not, you need to get ready. How do you do that? By putting your faith and trust in the Lord Jesus as your personal Savior. Call upon the name of the Lord and be saved. If you want to know how to do that, I'd be more than happy to talk with you. So let's see. I want to look at the chat on the restream. And we said hello to Artemio Cruz and Michael Popes. Michael, so good to have you. And we have Prophecy Zone News. And they said, good show, brother. I never heard of Prophecy Zone before, but I'm encouraged by their very kind words. I need to look into Prophecy Zone a little bit here. So Prophecy Zone, thank you. And I hope that you subscribe to my channel. We'd like to look at you, maybe subscribe to your channel as well. So thank you, Prophecy Zone. We appreciate you. And as usual, Artemio Cruz and their very kind words, excuse me, to us. And let's just see if we missed anyone on Facebook here. Let me see here. Stephen Mitch Smith, good to see you, buddy. And let's see if I can. Jessica Marie said, did you see the New World headquarters for the One World Religion in the Middle East? No, I have not. And it seems, Jessica, that you put a link on there. But, here's what I say, Jessica. I get so many news articles to my email box from Israel, whether it's World Israel News, the Jerusalem Post, Times of Israel. I get so many. I have not seen this particular article. I should have seen it if it is accurate. Some of these prophecy guys today, sometimes they get misinformation and they put it as if it's news. So I don't miss a beat when it comes to this stuff. So I haven't seen such a news article. So that makes me a little bit leery. Like one person said, hey, in Brussels, Belgium, they have a computer called the Beast. Since the European Union is in Brussels, Belgium, they have a computer called the Beast. No, that's misinformation. It's a massive computer system that many have referred to it as the Beast because it's massive, but they don't call it the Beast. So, and I'm not trying to second guess you here, Jessica. I'm just very leery of news articles that have not come across my desk. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't miss one here and there. I get so many from Europe, from all types of Israel news agencies. I should have saw that. So I'll look at it and see where the source is. But at the same time, I'm very, very careful. But I do appreciate you, Jessica Marie. She also said, we are closer than we think. We need to save souls. Bingo. Amanda, I'm not sure why it's freezing on you. It could be your internet. And Hope Biggs, good to see Hope. And Hope, I agree. It's good to be cautious and very careful. You know why? Bible prophecy is one of the most abused subjects in the church today. That's why I'm very leery and I'm very careful about where news sources come from. I like taking it from the horse's mouth when I'm over there in Israel and when I get it from the secular news sources. All these other ones that just spring up out of nowhere, I got to be very careful. I must be very, very careful. But other than that, thank you so very much. So as we close, don't forget, tomorrow I will not be on. But listen, if our ministry has been a blessing to you, if you enjoy the plain sense interpretation of our Bible prophecy teaching, please help support us. We're on Christian radio. We need help with that. We do all of these, restream things now with the pictures and the video, the articles and all that. We need your help with that as well. So please consider financially supporting us. You can do that by going to our PayPal link, www.paypal.me/TBPM. That's the abbreviation for Today in Bible Prophecy Ministries. So you can put that in the PayPal, go to our PayPal account, put whatever amount you feel the Lord is telling you to give. You can also mail any of your support to Today in Bible Prophecy Ministries, 143 Grove Street, Lincoln, Rhode Island, 02865. And while you're at my website, don't forget, go to the bookstore and you could, order our books on prophecy that I've written, Gifts from Israel, are there. We have all that on our webpage, www.todayinbibleprophecy.org. So let me just, I want to make sure I put that on there for you so you can see it. And www. Thought it might come up, but it did not. Today in Bible Prophecy.org. So there you go. So you could go to my website, www.todayinbibleprophecy.org. Go to my contact form, subscribe to our newsletters, go to our bookstore, order our books, gifts from Israel, and your purchases help support us. But again, folks, your financial support helps support us as well. That's what we really rely on. So use that PayPal link right there to go take a picture of it with your phone or write it down. Go to our PayPal site, put that link into your search engine or whatever, and please help give. There is no gift too big or too small to keep us doing what we're doing. And again, you could mail your support to the address that you see on your screen right there. We need your help. And I want to thank you in advance. Now, don't forget, we will not be on tomorrow, Thursday, but I will be on, Lord willing, Friday for our Bible prophecy update. And don't forget, this Sunday, I'm going to be preaching at my home church, the church that I'm a member of, for their missions conference. I'm going to be preaching at East Bay Baptist Church, East Providence, Rhode Island, October the 17th. So if you live in my neck of the woods, I want to see you come on out if you don't have a place to go. And we will also live stream the final day of our missions conference at our church. So I hope to see you there. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope to see you, Lord willing, Friday, not tomorrow, Friday, for another Bible prophecy update. So remember, we look at the political because the political is setting the stage for the prophetic to be fulfilled. So keep looking up. Jesus is coming soon. And Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We'll see you, Lord willing, on Friday. Have a great day now. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.